Hi. Let me just start by saying that I'm not proud of what I did. I would like to ask everyone for forgiveness. My name is Malia, and I'm 18 years old. Today, I'm going to tell you my story. It happened in 2018. All my life, I have lived with my mother until she met Dave. At first, they were just dating, but then one day, Dave came and called me his daughter. I wasn't very happy about the new dad, but I want to say that he was a very good man, despite everything that infuriated me about him. Have you ever felt locked up? Like you were locked in a cage? That's what I felt every day. Dave set strict rules in the house that I had to follow. Can't do that, can't go there. And then, she showed up. The devil incarnate. It was baby Mindy, my little sister from the new dad. From the moment she was born, I thought nobody would give a shit about me. But nope, the rules were tightened. And to keep me from becoming a bad example for their new daughter, they decided to put limits on everything. That ain't happening, I said. I was a very bad girl. Very bad. One time, I was supposed to go to a school party, but they left me to babysit my little sister just to keep me from going. Can you believe that crap? I decided to get revenge. We had an inflatable pool in the backyard. I took a doll, put my sister's clothes on it, and threw it in the pool. Then I took a couple of pictures. I sent them to Mom. I also wrote a heartbreaking message. Mom, I'm sorry. I don't know how it happened. But Mindy, she learned how to swim. A second later, my phone blew up with calls. I turned off my phone and turned on Netflix. I remember how that one turned out for me. It was the first time I got the belt from my dad. After that, I completely lost my mind. And here's what happened next. I knew that I wasn't allowed to do anything. So I went to a piercing parlor and got myself a piercing. A little one at first. You should have seen Dad's face when he first saw the piercing in my nose. He was yelling and said, "If you don't get that thing out of your nose today, I'll kick you out of my house." I was scared and very angry. How could he say things like that? It's not normal. For the first time, my mother stood up for me. I realized that now I could do whatever I wanted. I went to a party where I met a guy. And then the whole night, I was sending my dad photos of us kissing, just to piss him off. He was so angry, but then he just stopped responding. When I got home, he was sitting with a belt in his hand. I remembered that night for a long time. He kicked me out and told me to go to my boyfriend's house. He wasn't letting Mom stand up for me this time. After that, I literally went crazy. At that time, I was just 16 years old. It was my sweet 16. I wanted to get revenge on him, and nothing could stop me. I was prepared to do anything. So, I got piercings all over my face. Eyes, nose, eyebrows, lips, tongue, everything was punctured. Sometimes, people even came up to me on the street to take pictures with me. But then, the hour of reckoning had come. With my face completely covered in piercings, I quietly snuck into our house. Dad wasn't there yet, so I hid in a closet in his room and waited for him to come in. And now, the moment of truth. I jumped out and screamed at him. "So, dear Daddy, is that how you wanted to see your daughter?" I heard him scream, and then he fell to the ground at my feet. I was scared, thinking that he was pranking me. Then I put my ear to his chest and listened. I called an ambulance. At that moment, my first thought was whether I would get put in jail and how to explain to Mom where Dad went. When the ambulance arrived, I explained to the paramedics that Dad had suddenly felt sick and fell to the floor. There was nothing I could do. They took him away. The next morning, we were informed that Dad had had a heart attack. Mom was crying, but I felt oddly calm. Sometime later, Dad was released from the hospital. He came home and didn't get up from the couch for a long time. Mom took care of him while he regained his strength. He was very calm and never raised his voice to me. Mom eventually found herself a new boyfriend, and we moved away. Dad resumed living his peaceful, boring life that he had lived before us. After that, our life changed for the better, and I got rid of the piercings. I started visiting a psychologist and helping my mother more. I even got my first job. But nevertheless, what I had done eventually began to torment me. I guess with age, I had started to understand how lucky I was that he was still alive. Please don't try to get revenge on anyone! And I'm begging you, never scare somebody, especially if you don't know the person and the state of their health. Otherwise, it may end badly. Please understand, I didn't want this. It was an accident. I just wanted to scare him. That's all. Be that as it may, to some extent, I feel sorry for him. I hope he forgives me. Thank you.
Hey bros, my name is Rick. I listen to rap. Today, I'm going to tell you my unusual story and how I fell in love with my dad's housekeeper and how it all turned out. My dad is very rich, not like Bill Gates, but not bad either. We live in a big house. Me, Dad, and a dog named Damien. Which name do you like more, Rick or Damien? I like Damien, and I feel like Dad gave his dog a better name than his son. My mom died when I was 3 years old, according to my father. As I already mentioned, our house is very large, and Dad is a very busy man, so there were all sorts of strange girls cleaning up our property. Honestly, until I was 15, I didn't even pay attention to them. Dad's housekeepers, that is. But then something clicked inside me. Guys, you know what I'm talking about. I started watching them closely. They cleaned our house so beautifully. So after the dismissal of our last cleaning lady, she showed up. Katie, that was her name. I was 17 at the time, and she was 22. It was my first real love. Long legs, a cute face and body. Oh my god, her curves. That amazing girl even did stretches at our house when she had a spare minute. Since I wasn't at all shy around girls, I walked right over and introduced myself to her. No problem. That evening, I decided to get to know her better. We were sitting in the living room, sipping tea and talking. I told her about my school life, and she told me about her adult life. She probably wasn't very interested in listening to a 17-year-old, but she at least kept listening to me and smiling. When she started talking about herself, she put her hand on my knee. It was so nice. She told me that she hated school, so she dropped out. She worked as a dancer at a men's club. Then she got up, turned on the music, and danced for me. And then I went nuts. Oh my god, we had our own in-house model, a professional dancer. Basically, I got to know everything about her that night. I would sit in class and think all day about when I would finally get to go home and see her again. Every time she bent over to get something off the floor, I would watch her. She was the only girl I didn't want Dad to fire. One night, she was cleaning up my room when we got into a conversation and got closer. I could see her lips. Oh, I thought there would never be a better moment than this, especially since she didn't mind. She was letting me get so close to her. And then I leaned closer to kiss her. I closed my eyes, did everything like in the movies. But she just freaked out and stepped to the side. You should have seen the look of surprise on her face. She said, chuckling, "Are you crazy? They'll throw me in jail." And she continued to giggle. I felt so freaking awkward. But then she stopped laughing and said seriously, "Do you want me to teach you?" She set aside all of her cleaning supplies and came up to me. We kissed. It was simply incredible. I still remember that moment. After the kiss, she smiled, put on gloves, and went to clean up the dog shit in our yard. An incredible girl. I was in heaven until one day, I came home early. Dad was home, so I immediately thought to myself, no kisses today. I saw her gloves, the vacuum cleaner, and her uniform, and I heard some sounds coming from the second floor. Oh, I knew what it was. Dad was giving it to her. I immediately realized what they were doing up there and decided just to leave the house so that neither myself nor them would be embarrassed. I was gone for an hour and a half. I wondered how I was going to kiss a girl who was also kissing my father. And not only kisses. Gross! Okay, fine. So when I approached her again, I tried to hint at her that it was time for us to do our thing. She answered, "Let's stop with the games. I know you're going through puberty, but chill, man." No one had ever done me like that before. Girls were usually chasing after me because they knew I was from a wealthy family. But this bimbo had the nerve to talk to me like that. At first, she was smiling at me, but now she had switched to my father. I saw her become more and more flirtatious with Dad. He would either pinch her or put his arm around her. I had gotten sick of it. One time, they were cuddling and watching television. I wouldn't even be telling this disastrous story, if not for what had happened. My most ingenious plan of revenge. When nobody was home, I let Damien into the house. I brought a few piles of dog shit and scattered them around the house. When she arrived, she was in shock. And when Dad arrived, he was even more shocked. Our cleaning lady hadn't kept track of the dog. Of course, they found out that I was to blame. A few days later, she came up to me and pressed me up against the wall. She said something like, "You stupid little asshole, don't mess with my work." I don't know, but it seemed to me like she was only interested in my father's money, which really bothered me. The situation with Damien and the shit piles was repeated more often, and I started littering and throwing everything on the floor. After several such stunts, my father decided to have a serious talk with me. I already didn't care, so I proudly told him that I had sucked face with his housewife. I thought he would give me a slap on the face and tear me a new one. But it went like this. "Wow, really? Awesome. Well, I'm sleeping with her," he said, chuckling. To be honest, it freaked me out a little. I saw my dad differently then. Man, I love my dad. He understood me and decided to fire Kate. I waved goodbye to her and said, "Thanks for the kisses."